Good day, everyone. In continuation with the legal and regulatory challenges, my topic is all about the constitutional issue affecting government institutions. So, firstly, we have judicial independence. In judicial independence, ensuring that the, the independence of the judiciary from political influence is an interperpetual challenge. Any perceived threat to judicial independence can raise constitutional concerns. Judicial independence is the fundamental principle in constitutional law that refers to the idea that the judiciary should be free from external influences, such as political pressure or interferences, to ensure the particularly and fair decision making. The constitutional issue surrounding judicial independence often revolves around the separation of powers and the need to maintain a system to check and balance within a government. Next, the separation of powers. Many constitutional establishments, three branches of the government, the executive, legislative, and the judiciary, with distinct power and responsibilities. Judicial independence is crucial to maintain the separation of powers, preventing the branch from dominating or unduly influence the others. Next, we have the tenure and removal of judges. The Constitution may provide for the appointment or the tenure and removal of judges. Constitutional provisions regarding the security of the judges or tenure, protection from arbitrary removal, and clear criteria for impeachment or disciplinary action help safeguard judicial independence. Next, the financial independence. In the Philippines, financial independence from the judiciary has been a matter of concerns and has raised constitutional issues. Historically, judiciary has faced challenges in securing sufficient independent funding, potentially affecting its ability to function impartially and efficiently. One notable example of the financial dependence issue in the Philippines involves the release and allocation of the judiciary budget. Next, the um, what we call the budget allocation. In financial independence, the budget allocation is one of the key importance because the judiciary may face challenges in securing an adequate budget to meet its operational needs. Delays or reductions in the allocation or funds can impact the judicial ability to hire personnel, maintain court facilities, and implement necessary technological upgrades. Second, release of budget. Even when a budget is approved, the delay in the release of funds can occur, affecting the day-to-day operation of the judiciary. The Constitution emphasized that the budget should be automatically and regularly released, but the practice there have been instances where it has not been consistently observed. And third part is the dependency on the executive. The release of funds is often under control of the executive branch, and any delays or reductions may be perceived as an attempt to exert of an influence or control over the judiciary. This poses a challenge to maintain principle of a separation of powers. Next, appointment process. The process of appointing judges can impact their independence. Constitutional provisions may outline how judges are appointed, whether through executive appointment, legislative confirmation, or other means with the aim of minimizing political influence. Next, judicial review. The power of the the power of the judiciary to review and invalidate legislative or executive actions is a critical aspect of judicial independence. Constitutional provisions may define and protect the scope of judicial review to ensure that the judiciary can act as a check on potential abuse of powers. Next, judicial immunity. Constitutional protection may grant judges immunity from civil suits or criminal prosecution for actions taken in the course of their judicial duties. This immunity is crucial to shield judges from external pressures and encourage impartial decision making. So, in judicial immunity, here are some key points. First, the abuse of judicial immunity. So, there's a problem when the accused judge may invoke individual immunity, arguing that their decision and actions within the scope of their judicial duties are immune from prosecution or legal action. This immunity is designed to protect judges from undue interferences in their decision-making process. The second part is the challenges in investigation. The allegations create a challenges situation from law enforcement and anti-corruption agency investigating and prosecuting a setting judge can be complex due to the principle of judicial immunity, which aims to safeguard the independence of the judiciary. And third, public perception and trust in the judiciary. The case should erode the public trust in judiciary and environment institutions. If the allegations are not effectively addressed, it may lead to skepticism regarding the integrity of the judicial system and the ability of the government institution to hold their own accountable. Next, the ethical standards. Constitutional provisions may establish either standards for judges to uphold, ensuring that their conduct maintains public trust and confidential in the judiciary. Second is the check and balances. So, challenges in um, the constitutional establishment of a system or check and balances among the three branches of government, which is the executive, legislative, and judicial. Any issues affecting the balance of powers among these branches can be constitutional concern. In the Philippines or in the constitutional issue related, the check and balances primarily revolves around ensuring the effective separation of powers among the three branches of the government, namely the executive, legislative, and the judiciary. The Constitution of the Philippines provides for a system of check and balances to prevent any one branches from abusing its power and to safeguard the liabilities and rights of the people. Key constitutional issues related to check and balances includes these following. First, the separation of powers. So, the Constitution explicitly outlined the separation of powers among the three branches of the government to prevent the concentration of power in one branch. The challenge is to ensure that each branch operates independently with its own sphere without approaching of the powers of the others. Next, the executive powers and legislative oversight. The president, as the head of the executive branch, is vested with substantial powers. However, issue may arise when there are attempts to expand executive authority beyond constitutional limits. The legislative branch play a crucial role in checking the executive through its oversight functions, including the power to investigate and impeach. Third is the legislative function and judicial review. The legislative branch is responsible for enacting law, and the judiciary has the power of judicial review to assess the constitutionality of laws. The constitutional issue may arise if the legislative overstep its bound by passing law that intervene upon constitutional rights, or if the judiciary is perceived or oversight its role by legislating from the branch. Fourth, the impeachment process. The Constitution provides for the impeachment of the high-ranking officials, including the President, to hold them accountable for offenses such as betrayal of public trust or culpable violation of the Constitution. However, the impeachment process can become a constitutional issue if it's misused for political purpose, or if there are questions about the fairness and transparency of the proceedings. Next, judicial independence. While the judiciary has the power to judicial review, ensuring the independence of the judiciary is crucial for maintaining check and balances. Constitution issues may arise if there are attempts to undermine the judiciary independence, such as through interference in the appointment and removal of judges. 6. The budgetary powers. So, the power of the pursue is a significant aspect of check and balances. Issues may arise if the executive branch unduly influence or interference with the legislative process of budget approval, potentially compromising the independence of the legislative. Next, uh, next challenge is the challenge in human rights. So, protection and promotion of human rights are constitutional mandates issue related to extrajudicial killings, limitations on freedom of expression, and other human rights concerns have been subject of constitutional scrutiny. In the Philippines, constitutional issues related to human rights often center on ensuring the protection and promotion of fundamental rights and liabilities guaranteed by the Constitution. In the Philippine Constitution, as the knowledge of cut-off in January 2022, contains various provisions explicitly recognizing and safeguarding human rights. However, challenges and controversies may arise in the implementation and protection of these rights. Some key constitutional issues related to human rights in the Philippines include: first, the state obligation to protect human rights. The Constitution placed an obligation on the state to respect, protect, and promote human rights. Issue may arise when there are allegations of states' actions, pal- uh, policies, or practices that violate these rights, leading to concern about the government commitment to fulfilling its constitutional duty. The second is the security measures versus civil liabilities. Balancing national security concerns with the protection of civil liabilities is a recurring constitutional issue. Measures taken by the government to address security threats, such as declaration of martial law or the implementation of anti-terrorism law, may arise questions about their impact on individual rights and whether they comply with constitutional standards. Next, extrajudicial killings and due process. Allegations of extrajudicial killings, particularly in the context of anti-drugs campaign, have been significant human rights concern in the Philippines. Constitutional issues arise when there are questions about the adherence to due process and the right to life in the context of law enforcement operations. Next, the freedom of expression and press freedom. The Constitution protects freedom of expression and the press, but issues may arise when there are attempts to curtail these rights, such as through restrictions of media organizations or the targeting of the journalists critical of the government. Next, impunity and accountability. The Constitution principle of accountability is crucial in addressing human rights violations. Issues may arise when there are perceptions of impunity, lack of accountability for abuses, or inadequate mechanism for holding public officials accountable for human rights violations. Next, protection of vulnerable groups. Ensuring the rights of vulnerable groups such as indigenous peoples, women, children, and the LGBTQ plus community is a constitutional imperative. Issues may arise when these groups face discrimination, violence, or inadequate legal protections. Next, role of Commission on Human Rights. So, the role of the CHR is an independent constitutional body tasked with monitor and ensuring the protection of human rights. Issues may arise when there are challenges to effectiveness, in independence, or resources available to the CHR to carry out its mandate. Next, the fourth constitutional issue affecting government institutions is one of them is the constitutional amendments. So proposals for constitutional amendments can be a source of controversy. Decisions regarding changes to the constitution, such as shift in the form of government or alternations of terms limit, can raise constitutional issues. These are the examples of the um, what we call constitutional amendments. So first, the Constitutional Convention. The President, upon the recommendation of the majority of all the member of Congress, may call a constitutional convention. The convention is composed of elected delegates who propose amendments or revision to the Constitution. The proposed amendments are submitted to the electorate for ratification. Next, the Constituent Assembly. Congress, by the vote of three-fourths or all its members, may propose amendments or revisions. The proposed amendments are submitted to the electorate for ratification. Next, we have what we call people initiative. So, the Constitution allows for people initiative of the Constitution, but it requires the participation of at least 12% of the total number of the registered voters, with, with each legislative district having at least 3% of the registered voters supporting the initiative. The Commission on Election, or the COMELEC, verifies the signatures and certifies the specific thereof. The purpose amendments are then submitted to the electorate for ratification. Next, ratification. What is ratification? Ratification, or regardless of the method used, any amendments or revision proposed by the Constitution Convention or Constituent Assembly or People's Initiative must be ratified by majority of the votes cast in the plebiscite. Next, limitations on amendments. Certain provisions of the constitutions are explicitly stated as not subject to amendments. This includes provision on the national territory, the form of government, the prohibition of political dynasties, and the term limit of the president and vice president. We have one of the constitutional issue affecting government institution is the federal debate or federalism debate. The Philippines has been exploring and possibility of transitioning into a federal form of government. This involves amendment and constitution. The debate over federalism has constitutional implications, including concerns about its impact on regional autonomy and governance. Next, another constitutional issue affecting government institution is the emergency powers. The Constitution provides for the declaration of the state of emergency under certain circumstances. Issues can arise when emergency powers are exercised, raising questions about the scope, the duration, and necessity of each measures. The seventh or the next is the rule of law. The Philippines, like any other country, faces challenges in upholding the rule of law. Any instance where the rule of law is perceived to be compromised can lead to constitutional concerns. The eighth part is the electoral reforms. Issues related to the electoral process, such as allegation of fraud, voter disincrement, or other irregularities, can have constitutional implications, especially concerning the right to suffrage or the right to vote. Next, local governance and autonomy. Constitutional provisions grant local government units autonomy. Any actions that impede to violate the autonomy of this unit may arise constitutional concerns. Next, the public accountability. Constitutional provisions emphasizes public accountability. Issues related to corruptions, transparency, and accountability in the government constitution can be seen as constitutional challenges. In continuation with my report, the next part is the regulatory compliance and legal risk management. So, what is regulatory compliance and legal risk management? It is the regulatory compliance, or it is the uh, crucial aspect for businesses operating in the Philippines. The legal and regulatory landscape can be complex, and companies need to navigate various law and regulations to ensure that they operate within its band of the law. So first, we have the understanding regulatory environment. Understanding the regulatory environment in the Philippines involves considering the law, policies, and institutions that govern various economic activities and sectors within the country. So this is the under of the regulatory environment. So we have first the legal system. The Philippines follow a mixed legal system incorporating elements of civil law, common law, and indigenous law. Its legal framework is primarily based on Spanish civil law and American common law traditions. Second, constitutional framework. The 1987 Constitution of the Philippines serves as the supreme law of the land. It establishes the structure of government, defines the distribution of powers, and outlines the fundamental rights of citizen. Third is the government structure. In the Philippines, it is a unitary state with a presidential system of government. The government is divided into the three branches: the executive, legislative, and the judiciary. Fourth, the regulatory agencies. Various regulatory agencies oversees specifically industries and sectors. For example, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, or the BSP, regulates the banking and the financial sector, while the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, oversees securities and capital markets. The fifth one is the economic regulation. The government has policies and regulations in place to facilitate economic activities. This includes law governing trade, investments, and businesses operation. The ease of doing business in a focus area and reform have been implemented to streamline processes. 6. Labor regulations. Labor law and regulations govern employment regulation, including issues related to wages, working hours, benefits, and workplace and safety. The Department of Labor and Employment, or the DOLE, oversees labor-related matters. So next, the taxation. So the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or the BIR, administrates the tax law in the Philippines. Tax regulations cover income tax, value-added tax, and the excess tax and other um, levies. The tax environment is subject to periodic update and reforms. Next part is the environmental regulation. The Department of Education and the National Resources of DNR is responsible for the enforcing environmental law. Businesses are required to comply with regulations concerning environmental impact assessment, waste. Next, the telecommunication and IT regulations. The National Telecommunication or the NTC regulates the telecommunications sector. the Information Technology and Businesses Process Associations of the Philippines, or the IBPAP, plays a role in promoting the information technology and businesses process management industry. And next, last but not the least, the competitions and antitrust law. The Philippine Constitution Commission, or the PCC, enforce const- competition law to ensure fair market competition and anti uh, 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 prevent anti-competitive practices. We have next the intellectual property rights, or the IPR. So, what is the purpose of the IPR? The Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines oversees in the protection of intellectual property rights, including patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Next, health and safety regulations. The Department of Health, or the DOH, and the other relevant agencies establish regulations related to health and safety, particularly in industries such as pharmaceutical and food. Next, the compliance program. So, uh, establish comprehensive compliance program that cover relevant regulations. This may include creating internal policies, conducting regular training sessions for employees, and implementing monitor and reporting mechanism. Third, the corporate governance. So, adhere to corporate governance principles to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in business operations. This includes compliance with the Corporation Code, Securities Regulation Code, and other related law. Fourth is the data privacy compliance. Given the Data Privacy Act of 2012, businesses must ensure and the protection of personal data, implement data privacy policies, conduct regular audits, and appoint a data protection offers to ensure compliance with the data privacy regulations. Next, labor law compliance. Comply with the labor law and regulations covering issues such as employment contracts, wage benefits, and occupational health and safety. Stay upgrade on the other changes to labor law that may impact your business. Next, the tax compliance. So, understand and comply with the Philippine tax system, ensure timely and accurate filing of tax return and payments. Keep abreast of changes in tax law and regulation to avoid legal risk. The seventh part is the anti-corruption measures. Implement anti-corruption policies and procedures. This includes training employees on anti-corruption law, including due diligence and on businesses partners, and establishing mechanism for reporting and addressing corrupt practices. Next, the environment compliance. Businesses with environment impact should comply with the environment law and regulations, obtain the necessary permits and approval, and implement environmentally sustainability practices. Next, we have the contractual compliance. ensure that contract with clients, suppliers, and other stakeholders comply with relevant law. This includes understanding contract law, intellectual property rights, and dispute relation mechanism. And uh, 10 part is the crisis and contingency planning. Development crisis and contingency plan to address legal risk and unforeseen events. This includes having strategies for managing legal challenges, dispute and regulation and uh, investigations. 11 is the regular or legal audits. Conduct regular legal audits on businesses' operation to identify and address potential legal risks. This proactive approach helps in preventing legal issues before they escalate. And uh, last is the engage legal professionals. Seek legal advice from professionals familiar with Philippine law and regulations. Legal counsel for provide guidance and compliance matter and assist of reach limitations strategies. And that's